Welcome to Dory Cote on Shamanism, a weekly podcast that explores one theme in shamanism throughout each month. Get comfortable, have a seat, and let's get started.
Welcome to episode 47. Today we're going to talk about deliberate shamanic initiations in modern-day shamanism.
In your teaching of shamanism, you deliberately guide students through initiation experiences. Can you talk more about that, please?
Yes. First, what I want to say is that most students who put themselves, in a program to study shamanism, to have the experience of communicating with spirit reality beyond this earthbound reality that we live in, have a desire to be, for the most part, they're called to be, healers or guides or channels of some kind. And, they have big hearts and they truly want to step in the shoes of being a helper or a healer. And in order to achieve that as an end, in order to be even close to being able to be a powerful, hollow bone healer, the serious student in shamanism must undergo a deliberate way of hollowing themselves out so that they come to experience firsthand what it means to experience spirit in a very visceral way, and also to witness the miracle of the presence of spirit, and in addition to that, understand how to work in partnership with the power of spirit, which is actually far more power than we contain in our own bodies. Our spirit, because it's contained in a body, it has some limitations. So in order to embody spirit from outside of ourselves, we really have to be hollowed out to understand how to work with that power so that it doesn't take us down, it doesn't wear us out. So the initiations that we shamanic practitioners, and I'm sure there are many other shamanic practitioners out there who do very similar things, we help guide students through some very deliberate initiations that demonstrate the power of spirit. For instance, without going into a lot of detail, because it's not appropriate for me to describe in great detail, but I give you an example of an initiation might be something like having a student be completely bound up, like rendered motionless, unable to unravel or untie themselves. And by demonstrating the power of spirit through dancing, drumming, fire, lots of other things, experience or be witness to the unarguable miracle that the person becomes completely unbound. Nobody touches them, but yet they become unbound. That is an initiation. It's an initiation on a lot of levels because the student has to be willing to be rendered helpless, blinded, and completely bound and left with no resources. And so that's an initiation. What makes it an initiation? Two things. One is that a student has to be willing to surrender to oh, this is my body, this is my mind, I really don't like this, I would never, ever, ever give somebody permission to do this with me, and yet here I am in this safe circle, and we are going to do this. And as a result, that person or other persons become witness to an unarguable miracle. It's actually a very ancient initiation that our ancestors did. We don't do it in the same kind of way, but in a similar kind of way. And then there are lots of other initiations, like allowing oneself to be literally the embodiment of spirit, and allowing song or language to come through you without your filtering it in any way with your mind. Again, I don't want to name all the initiations that we do because that wouldn't be appropriate, but what we do our best at doing is recreating some of the ancient ways of our ancestors in a modern day structure that does not put any human at risk of death. That's where we draw the line. Our ancestors had very different values, and their lives were quite different than our modern day lives. And so their initiations were, they would be terrifying to humans today, and because of the way we value life in a different kind of way, we don't do those kinds of initiatives, but we recreate as best we can without ever risking someone's life. A deliberate initiation.
For the initiations that you just discussed, it sounds like there was a limiting of the physical senses in order to turn inwards and tune into a different kind of awareness of sensing and receiving and acting. Is that accurate?
Yes, absolutely. It is about, most of the initiations are about embodying spirit and letting go, really, really letting go of the thinking mind, and in some cases, the body, in order to really fully step into and making space to allow spirit showing up in an embodied way that is unarguable. And the experience of that is what helps a student move from, a walking, talking body to a spirit who knows they are a spirit first in a body that happens to have a mind.
Is it safe to use the analogy that in some ways initiations are like intense workouts that strengthen spiritual muscles to be able to act and interact with spirit?
Yes, that's a good analogy. It truly is about strengthening oneself, strengthening a core understanding that is very much outside of language and allows the student to step into complete trust that their helping spirits are there, that they will never be abandoned, and that they can trust the knowledge and wisdom that is coming through them that has nothing to do with them.
You have worked with many students in different kinds of initiations. Do you find that there is a common set of skills, or is the way of working with spirit unique to each soul?
I would say that the way of working with spirit has its uniqueness with each soul, because we all come here on Earth for different purposes. We're living out completely different life purposes, and we have different gifts. So, for instance, I have, some students who work with spirit and dance. Like when they dance, they are they're in their body, but it's spirit dancing them rather than them dancing spirit. There are students who work with physical matter in other ways. They use their art, their craft, their gift to create an object or a piece of work that is beyond the canvas or beyond the clay. It is an expression of the presence of spirit. Then there are some students who, do shamanic healing work and use their gift as a healer to manifest the presence of spirit. But yes, I would say I could name, if I were to go through and remember every student who has ever worked with me in an intense way, their own unique gift, their own way of expressing this amazing presence of spirit and how spirit is made manifest here on Earth through them.
So two people could go through the same initiation in lesson plan and come out with very different experiences.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Do students emerge from an initiation experience, a deliberate initiation, being altered in some way?
Absolutely. I can say without a shadow of doubt that every student I have ever had the privilege of witnessing has come out of an initiatory experience being altered in some very meaningful ways. Perhaps, to name some, I would say, the person who is shy and unsure of themselves might become very assured and vocal all of a sudden and able to express things in a new way. Or the person who perhaps showed up at the beginning of a program, with a pretty big ego and felt themselves as already like, yeah, I'm there, I'm just taking this class because I need to have this experience to put on my website. That person becomes humbled. So each person has some significant shift. And, as a teacher, I experience it as an incredible privilege and an expression of miracle to witness what happens with students in the process of a year of going through a program that is, or 2 years, and some of the programs I teach are 2 years long, going through a deliberate program that is meant to hone out that bone of theirs to make it possible for them to really be the embodiment of spirit.
So this alteration that students experience from an initiation, do they continue to feel this difference after the initiation experience is complete, the deliberate initiation experience?
Oh, yes. Yes. It's not a temporary condition. It's similar, if I were to use an analogy of the physical body, if you get your appendix out, well, your appendix is gone. It's just gone, and it doesn't come back, although I suppose one could postulate the possibility of another appendix growing. But, if you lose...
Learn to read.
You
never
can unread.
unread.
Exactly. Perfect. That's a great analogy. Once you've learned to read, you cannot unread. Once you learn to ride a bicycle, you cannot unlearn riding a bicycle. It's a permanent shift, regardless of what path the person takes beyond the formal study of shamanism. That shift does not change. I'll give you an example. that's just coming to me right now. A student of mine wrote to me some time ago and said, oh, Dory, I really feel like I'm not really, stepping into my practice of shamanism in the way I thought I would or could. I feel like a failure. The only thing I do is every day I take my rattle and I walk out into the field and I sit up against my great big tree and I journey down, I journey with the tree and talk to the tree and all the nature beings around me. My response, of course, to that student is, you are being the shaman. You don't have to do anything more than that. You are the vessel. You are clearly connected with the spirits of nature. You don't have to do anything. It's about who you are. That's what makes the possibility of being that hollow bone. It's not about doing, it's about being. And she is being the shaman.
And in our culture, we value doing so much that to value being is an unusual
absolutely
choice.
That is absolutely true. And one of the things I say at the beginning of my teaching program is that very thing. This program is not about what you're going to learn to do. It's about who you are going to become. Who are you becoming? And the becoming doesn't end. You continue becoming long after this program is over with. It's about being.
Is there anything else you'd like to add about deliberate modern-day shamanic initiations?
No, thank you. This was a great discussion. I appreciate it, and I look forward to our next podcast.
Thank you for listening to Dory Cote on Shamanism. We'd love to hear your thoughts, stories, reactions, and questions. Come on over to dorycote.com and join the conversation. And tune in next week for more on this subject, or next month for a new subject. You can subscribe to this podcast in iTunes or sign up on dorycote.com to receive notices when the podcasts are posted. That's Dory, D-O-R-Y, and Cote, C-O-T-E.com. Drumming and rattling by Dory Cote and Terry Morgan. Technical assistance and audio production by JillHackett.com. And this is Susan Savelle, wishing you many blessings in your life. We hope to have you join us next time.